Imagine yourself taking a nap in your comfy room, while downstairs in the kitchen, pancakes are being made, sponsored by Starlight Crusade funding. Well, that isn't fantasy. That is reality. Welcome to Max Doubles Deck. Now, if you remember 4 months back when Order and Chaos just hit the shelves, I went about with a couple of Max decks that I thought had good synergy with Max's ability, and this is one of them. Sadly, I put it to a viewer's choice vote and it wasn't very well received, so I shelved the idea until now, where Adjusted Chronotype has been released, making it actually worth trying out this little janky combo here. So you have doubles, and you have Power Nap to leverage on the fact that you're running so many doubles to gain huge efficiency. And note that Power Nap turns on very quickly because you're milling your deck so quickly. And then the Starlight Adjusted Chronotype combo. Once it hits the board, you are basically able to gain 6 credits per click, which is insane. The click compression is crazy. Of course, for it to be worth it, I need to play quite a few doubles once the combo is found, and of course I need to find the combo quickly. So let's see whether we can do that this game. Objective-based commentary, shall we? Evaluate how effective the Chronotype Starlight combo is. So I'll leave you to observe that while we jump into the game. I'm playing against Cybernetics Division, so I must remember to end with 4 cards in hand. Yeah, that is always a huge... it's actually pretty subtle but noticeable drawback. Being constrained to only 4 cards in your hand, that's pretty painful. Now, I'm actually pretty familiar against this deck type. It's Mushin HB, and if you have been listening to my channel, you know that I actually brought this deck to Worlds. Sorry, not Worlds. What am I saying? UK Nationals. The only difference is that Chrome City wasn't released back then, so I was playing it in Engineering the Future instead. But I kind of know how this deck works and what to expect from it roughly. So I make a very risky play here. I play the Queen's Gambit on the Mushin remote and hope that it's not agenda. Well, if it is, so be it. A man up, he can score it, and I'll just have to place more pressure on him. Because I've already found the Keyhole Eater combo, and I have quite a huge stack of money, I can actually afford to play a bit slowly. And so here, I'm fine with just installing the Keyhole after Queen's Gambiting what obviously is a failed trap again. So basically, he gave me 2 free Queen's Gambits with that failed trap, which I highly appreciate. That gave me 12 credits, putting me up to 18 credits and allowing me to Keyhole the heck out of him if he tries to score the agenda that was newly installed with an ice protecting it. He did not score the agenda, so I assume that's a trap, and I proceed to Keyhole him all the way down. Now, I found a Project Wotan, which is worth 3 points, so I'm immediately going for it in case he finds a Jackson and shuffles it. So I'm definitely running Archives, and I know he's probably running Bioroids. Unfortunately, I have to click through the Heimdall and lose a brain damage. There's not much I can do about that there. I really wanted to get the Wotan out of the way, so that was the obvious line of play. The bad news is I took 1 brain damage, bringing me down to 3 hand size, which is very dangerous. It basically means I cannot contest his remotes any longer. Drawing into a Deja Vu, I now reevaluate my board position. I'm in a pretty good shape, but Heimdall on the remote on the Archives means that it's very difficult for me to proceed with my Eater Keyhole plan. Now, I was very tempted to Keyhole his R&D again, because it's only 4 credits to break and I'm filthy rich, but I remembered that Jackson is the one counter to Keyhole, so I had to run his remote, and thankfully it was a Jackson, turns out, and he had to sack it. So that was very good news. You need to get rid of the Jackson Howards before you attempt Keyholes. Now here I max draw into Vamp, and this is very crucial. As long as I have more credits than him, I can contest his Mushin no Shins, and this will prove very clutch. That is one reason why in my UK Nationals deck I packed 2 Christian Brits and 1 Sealed Vault, because Credit Denial absolutely kills this deck, HP Mushin. Without any money, you cannot threaten the threat of June Bugs or Cerebral Overwriters, hence Vamp is so important. Now, here I break the Gyri Labyrinth, and I do not access HQ. I do not want to lose hand size right now, because all the cards in my hand are valuable. In the meantime, I Keyhole. I don't think I see anything. of worth, so I spent my last few clicks playing Power Nap, bringing me up to 21 credits. This is looking very good. I've milled a fair number of doubles to my heat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doubles, so I actually gain 8 credits off the back of that single Power Nap. Unfortunately, all my Power Naps are now in the bin, but I can always recur them with same old thing or deja vu if needed. So I continue keyholing, not seeing much here. Not sure whether this was the right choice. I saw Marcus, Victor, and green level. I chose to trash the green level because right now his biggest problem is economy. So if I can suppress his economy, things will be good. And I also find my David, which I immediately play. This will give me one free pass through archives. But more importantly, seeing the knife in my archives, I'm certainly looking to trash the Heimdall using knife and David sometime when I feel like running archives. So yes, now he gains money, he gets a footing. In the meantime, I am bleeding quite a bit of money. 4 to break through Eli every time is not cheap, and it's only going to get more expensive from here on out as he installs a new piece of ice. Now, I do not know what this ice is because Keyhole does not lock R&D per se, so he can see different ice from what I saw. But it still turns out to be a Victor. So I'm definitely going to click through the Victor. It's too expensive to break it. Bioroids are such a pain for Ether. So I see more money goes into the trash. And I deja vu some money. Power Nap, yes. That was quite a no-brainer. I was running low on money, so obviously you get more money. And this is a very good part about Max. Once you've milled enough doubles, you just keep recurring Power Naps. It is so efficient. Probably more efficient than prepaid cake. The only downside is that unlike prepaid cake, you don't see all your doubles. In fact, you only see a third of them. And that's a huge problem. In the meantime, I do play the Power Nap, bringing me up to 13 credits, and I contest his remote. He was trying to sneak out a self-destruct chip. It's very sneaky. Of course, if he doesn't advance remotes, I'm definitely going for them. So a big mistake there. What he should have done was to double advance the self-destruct chips. At least threaten a cerebral overwriter. Yeah, installing naked remotes like this is inviting me to run them, and I certainly will. In the meantime, he does find a Jackson Howard and begins reshuffling stuff back in. Now, during one of my KO runs, I did mill a self-destruct chips, which he puts back into R&D. I was in no hurry to steal the self-destruct chips in archives. It's only worth 1 point, not worth much for me. And yeah. So my economy is looking very good, and so is his because he found his restructure and hedge fund. Now I found my spoon, and this is the perfect card. Immediately, a run on R&D, breaking Victor with clicks, because paying 5 to break Victor is a bit too expensive for my taste. And of course I jack out after that, and gain a credit. Yes, even though money is more or less free flow for this deck, you do not want to waste money unnecessarily. Thankfully, he's not running too many assets or upgrades, so I don't really have to spend money contesting them. Ooh, max draw into Lucky Find. Perfect. I got pretty lucky with my draws in this game. Lots and lots of money cards. So I used up all my cards. My stack was empty, so I just played all my cards except for Vamp from my hand. That means the Levi. And I trashed the Power Nap. So unfortunately, Levi means that it resets the double count in my archives, meaning that I have to start building up doubles in archives once again if I want Power Nap to be effective. As such, no point keeping the Power Nap in my hand. I should be trying to mill cards from R&D right now before he gets out of hand with it. But right now I'm just trying to get a foothold of economy, make sure I'm looking good. Okay, one thing I probably should be doing is using the knife on the Eli. It costs 4 every time. I probably should be using the knife. Looking further in the long term. My intention was to save the knife for the Heimdall on archives, but yeah, I think my life this game would have been much easier had I used the knife on the Eli on R&D. Well, hindsight is 2020, but still, that was definitely the right decision to use the knife on R&D, which I never did. It was always I was saving up my hand, not sure what I was saving it up for, but it never. Spoiler alert, it was never used in the end. Okay. So I do have the adjusted chronotype on the board. The problem with my first pass through my deck that game was that both of my Starlight Crusade fundings ended up in the heap. so I was not able to assemble the combo. So now I'm hoping to draw my Starlight Crusade funding. One has already hit archives, so yeah, that's a problem. And R&D gets further iced up. So far not looking very good. He did advance that remote. Now it has 2 advancements on it, and that kind of worries me. It could be an agenda. So I'm not interested in face checking a Cerebral Overwriter right now, so I'm just going to use the Singularity from my hand to destroy that thing. It would be really nice if I had Starlight Crusade funding here, but not much I can do about that. Hacktivist Meeting is meant to be an attack against Nerf Hub and RP, hopefully to slow them down. It's pretty useless in this matchup. He's clearly not running too many assets or upgrades. So yeah, having only 3 hand size right now is really constraining. I'm forced to trash cards like I've had was not good. And my money is starting to slow down as well. Although I do have a Queen's Gambit, there's not many targets for me to use it on. There's that item in the remote which still looks like a trap. I'll probably use it on that when I really need to, which is probably this coming turn. And he installs a new card in the remote. Alright, I'm going to run that new card. If he does not res it, I'm going to use Queen's Gambit on it. It's a Jackson Howard. It's his last Jackson Howard. That's something very important to remember. He has been using them all, and this means I can easily now keyhole without too much worry. Stash all his agendas in archives, which is protected by Bioroids. I should be able to get through relatively easily between David and my cutlery. Unfortunately, that wasn't a trap. That was a priority requisition sitting there all the while, and he was waiting to score it because he wanted to res a Yanis off the back of it. So I didn't take that into account. I was thinking if it was a 3-pointer, he would want to score it as soon as he could and get his bonus effect. But of course, it was a tri-rec. That's something that he would rather wait to score, wait for a good opportunity. And that pretty much seals me out R&D. I do not run Fort, and having to pay 10 credits to keyhole every single time, that's not an option. So now I'm forced to switch up my strategy. If I cannot score agendas, I want to make sure that he can't score them either. And that is basically now phase 2 of the game. My job right now is to prevent him from scoring any agendas, whether through Singularity or vamping him. Unfortunately, both of my Singularities are in the heap, and I haven't seen the vamp yet. Vamp is a much more preferable option, but again, I need money. And unfortunately, right now, I'm forced to spend my Deja Vu on the Starlight Crusade funding. I'm down to 1 hand size because I ran through Gyri Labyrinth, at least for this turn. And that's a problem because, yeah, that was why I Deja Vu'd the Starlight. I would rather Deja Vu a Power Nap, but yeah, I could only hold 1 card, and I really wanted to keep the spoon because I was planning to assault HQ by spooning Gyri Labyrinth and running 3 times. But now this forces me to change tactic. He motioned something and placed an ice over it. I was contemplating blind spooning or blind knifing that remote. It was probably a barrier or a code gate. Is it an agenda? I decided that it was, because I knew that unlike my HB deck, which relies on mandatory upgrades, once scored, you can fast advance 3 tools from your deck. Here you can't. He is forced to motion to win. Knowing that, I knew that the chances of him motioning agenda was very high. As such, I went for it, and it handsomely paid off. So this is one game where prior experience with the opponent's deck has greatly helped me in this matchup. Because I knew in his position he was feeling very desperate. He knew he had no chance of winning unless he started motioning agendas. And knowing that greatly increases the chances that that remote was an agenda, which is why I was willing to accept the risk, hedge my bets, and run that remote, and it paid off handsomely. Another point worth mentioning this game is that the main reason why I won is because he gave me a free self-destruct chips on the remote. Had he not given me that, I would have been on 6 points. The game would have continued. In fact, he probably would have punitive counter-struck me down. So there's something to know about that. This is why self-destruct chips is such a bad agenda, by pure virtue of it being a 3-1 agenda. In that case, Domestic Sleepers is way better because you can fast advance it and it's worth 0 points to the runner. So the runner, me, I'm forced to find 3 agendas in a deck that has a low agenda density to even have a shot of winning. So self-destruct cheats might not be worth it after all, even though it synergizes with the brain damage ability, the hand size ability of the ID. So putting the focus onto me, at the start of the video I asked you, how effective is Chronotype and Starlight together? Well, in this game, clearly, it very obviously showed that it is very janky. And even though I managed to finally get a combo set up, I used it a grand total of 0 times. Not a single double was played after I found the Starlight Crusade funding. And the big reason is because the chance of you, because I only play 2 of each card in my deck. Including 3 of each is horrible because that's 6 deck slots on an exclusive combo that does not work with any other card in the game other than the doubles, and they are redundant in multiples. The chance of seeing both Starlight Crusade Funding and Chronotype in your hand after the first pass through your deck is 30%, assuming you don't use Deja Vu or Draw, which is very, very low. To increase my chances of finding either of these cards, I'll need to actually draw more aggressively so that I can see more of my deck. Or should I just give up the combo entirely? After all, if I do Deja Vu one of the components out, assuming I don't see both of them, that's 6 credits I need and 3 clicks just to set up the combo. How many doubles must I play for it to pay itself off? That's a lot. It's almost never worth it unless the game is going to go fairly late. And this game shouldn't have gone that late. I gave him the chance to rest Yenas, rest all the big Baroids I should not have. That was a game which I could play very aggressively because I started with such good burst economy, but I squandered my lead, and I think even though I won this game in the end, I definitely think I could have won it handily much earlier without risking my life running that remote had I played it more aggressively. So the combo is pretty iffy. I'm not sure. What do you think? Don't judge just by this game. Of course, it could be just a fluke result, but it's worth considering that even though Starlight Crusade Funding synergizes with this deck so well, it might be just too janky to be worth playing. Thanks for watching. Happy net running. Goodbye.